Hi everyone, welcome to Uron. In this video, I'm going to discuss about one small data engineering project. But yeah, it is going to be very much effective and it is going to give you a complete overview about Azure Data Factory, how it is going to work, and some of the services inside Azure Cloud Platform. So guys, this project is going to contain a couple of services from Azure and which I'm going to discuss. But if I'll talk about a project, so the project is that how to transfer a data or how to build a pipeline. So where you can try to transfer a data from Azure Data Lake service to Azure Blob service. So that is something that we are going to see, and we are going to create a pipeline for this one inside Azure Data Factory. So the very first thing is that what is Azure Blob Storage and Azure Data Lake? Yes, on a very high level. So obviously both are going to help you out to store a data. But what is the actual difference between Azure Blob Storage and a data lake? Because many people I have seen that they get confused because you can create a Azure data storage and a blob. So sorry, Azure data lake and a blob inside a data storage services. So in the same service, you will be able to perform both the operation. And many people says that what is the actual difference? So here, let me share my screen. I have prepared notes for all of you. So where I'm going to talk about what is the actual differences between Azure Blob Storage and Azure Data Lake Storage. And obviously, I'm going to configure Gen 2 with respect to a data lake. So both are going to store a data, but where we are going to use it, and then I'm going to give you introduction about a data. So one by one, let's try to see couple of differences. So I'll try to share this entire sheet with all of you. So don't worry about it. But yeah, so I'll try to talk about not all the differences, but yeah, couple of differences. So what is the purpose for Azure Blob Storage, by the way? So general purpose object storage for unstructured data. So you can try to store any kind of unstructured data like images, logs, or videos. so so unstructured data, yes, you can try to store it. Now optimize for big data analytics and hierarchical data organization. So I'll be talking about hierarchical and how we can try to configure this hierarchical. So while creating a data storage, so I'll be talking about that as well in a practical manner. So I'll try to show you that particular part. Now, so hierarchy wise, so flat namespace, no directory structure through a virtual folder can, though virtual folder can be used. So yes, you can create a folder. Again, I'm going to show you. So whatever I'm talking about, right? Whatever I'm discussing. So very soon I'm going to show you each and everything with a practicality. Now hierarchical namespace, support directories and subdirectories. Now use case, this is very important, the use case part. So storing files, backups, logs, and unstructured data for web apps or API. So this is where you can try to use Azure Blob Storage, and only this point is very much important. The rest of the point is kind of fine. It's completely fine. You don't have to focus much on that. Now storing and analyzing large data set using a tool like Hadoop or Spark. So the conclusion is that where I can use a data lake. So wherever I have to store and analyze a large set of the data with the help of maybe HDFS file system, Hadoop distributed file system, or maybe a Spark engine if I'm going to use. So in that case, I can try to use what? I can try to use a data lake, Azure Data Lake. And Azure Blob wise, so wherever I have to store a flat files, maybe images, logs, or any unstructured data, or maybe a structured data, it's completely fine. So, or I have to consume it for maybe a web app if I have to consume it, or maybe if I have to create an API and expose it to other endpoints. So in that case, I can try to use a blob storage. So for a heavy data processing, heavy analytical processing, I can go ahead with the data lake. As name suggests, it's a lake, right? It's a lake. So lake means you can try to like accumulate lots and lots of heavy size of the data and then try to dump it and try to use it. Simple. And blob means a flat files. But yeah, both are going to complement each other, so you will be able to know about it very soon. Now performance wise, if I'll talk about a performance, so performance wise optimized for a throughput and general object storage performance, it's completely fine. So if you would like to access individual files, that's completely fine. It is already optimized, and this one is basically optimized for a analytical workload, means a heavy workload and very fast file operations. Now file operation wise, so limited to a basic blob operation like upload, delete and list. So this is a operation that you will be able to perform. So you can upload a file, and which we are going to see. So how we can try to automate the pipeline. So where from Azure Data Lake, I will be able to process or upload a file inside a Azure blobs. Now advanced file operation like renaming, moving and deletion on the directories. This is something which I will be able to perform with respect to a data lake. So now coming over here, so when to use what, because this point is important. So you can go ahead with the Azure Blob Storage. So when you are trying to store a file, log or backup for web app, mobile app, or maybe an API if you're trying to create. Now, if you are hosting maybe a static content like image or videos, you can go ahead with the Blob Storage, general purpose storage without analytical requirement. So wherever you don't want any kind of a analytical requirement, go ahead with the Azure Blobs. When you can go ahead with the data lake, so you can go ahead with the data lake. So when you are trying to process a large scale data over a Hadoop, again Databricks platform or maybe a Spark, and scenario required hierarchical storage, example organizing data set by project or data. So wherever you have to create a hierarchy, folder structure, folder inside a folder, multiple such kind of a setup if you are looking for. So in that case, you can go ahead with the data lake. Now big data pipeline or machine learning pipeline, machine learning workflow. So you can try to use data lake. So this is the only thing that you are supposed to remember. Now, so yesterday I talked about creation of an Azure account. So let's go to an Azure account and try to perform this task with me. So what is a task we are going to perform in today's class? A task is going to be very simple. So we have to transfer a data from Azure Data Lake Service. So ADLS, Azure Data Lake Service, to basically I have to transfer a data to Azure Blob. Azure Blob. So this is the operation which I'm supposed to perform. And here, so in between, right? So here in between, what I have to use? So I have to use a service called as Azure Data Factory, ADF. So ADF is nothing but it's a kind of a service provided by Azure. So where you can try to build a pipeline. So this is something that I'm supposed to perform. So this is an operation which I will be performing in general in my today's class. Okay, so let's get started, guys. And if you don't have an Azure account, you will not be able to perform any kind of a operation. But yeah, if you have an Azure account, you will be able to perform every kind of operations that I'm talking about in this particular lecture. So the very first process that we have to do over here is we can try to create Azure Data Factory. So where we are going to build a pipeline. Okay. So what I will do is I'll try to search over here. I'll try to search for Azure Data Factory. So here, if I'm going to search Azure Data Factory, or maybe I can just try to search for a data factory, right? So data factories, it is going to give me an option. So I can just go and search for it. I have already created one, but I'll try to show you how to create a new one. So here, so once you will come to Azure Data Factory, so I can try to click on create, and it is going to give you this particular page. That okay, so you are trying to create a Azure Data Factory. Now let's try to create with the help of this page. And again, this is a very easy and a basic operation. It's not at all a tough one, guys. Believe me, it's not at all a tough one. So here I can try to opt for pay as you go. So my account is running on pay as you go. But if you have a free account, if you have like a account which you have created and you have a credit from a Azure side, so you can try to use even a free account. It's completely fine. Now, so resource group I have to create for this Azure Data Factory. So what I will do is, so maybe I can try to create a new one. So here I can just try to name it agent, and whatever resources you are going to create going forward, so try to put those things inside this particular resource. I already have old resources with me, but I don't want to use this one. So create new, and ag underscore data underscore factory. I'm going to FACTORY factory. So you can just try to give a name, and then uron underscore demo. So for demo purpose, I'm going to create this particular resource. Click on OK. So this resource will be created. Simple, a resource group name will be created over here. Now instance detail. So I have to give an instance detail for this particular data factory which I'm trying to create. So where I can build a pipeline. So here what I can do is maybe I can try to give a name over here that uron underscore demo underscore data underscore factory. So it is going to give me an error. I just would like to show you. So what and how you can try to create a name, by the way. So whenever you're trying to create a name, just hover over here and then you can click on learn more, and you will get to know about a naming convention and what you should do and what kind of a character you are supposed to use and what you're not supposed to use. Otherwise, just try to give any name. The name can only, and it is going to give you an error, the name can only contain letters, numbers and hyphens. The first and the last character must be a letter or number. Spaces are not allowed. So underscores are also not allowed. I have given underscore. So in the source group, it's completely fine. It's allowed. But when we are trying to create an instance for a data factory or in any instances, so any instances that we are going to create for any kind of a resources, so that is not allowed. The data factory name is already taken. Choose a different name. So this is not taken. Let me like uron. So EURON, uron, and then hyphen data hyphen factory hyphen demo, right? So this is something which I am going to create. So now there is no error, everything is gone. Then you can try to select the region, that in which region you would like to create this entire data factory. So I can try to choose a region, whichever region is nearest to me, or any reason for a demo purposes I can try to select. That's completely fine. Maybe I can try to go ahead with the central India. So let's try to create a data factory in central India location. You can try to choose a location or a region, instance region, based on your flexibility. So wherever you feel like you can create it. Now click on next. Now get configuration. So no, I don't want to configure any get as of now. So it's completely fine. Check it. And then go to the networking. So enable manual virtual box on a default auto resolve integration runtime. So no, it's completely fine. Contact via public endpoint, that's completely fine. Now advance. Come over here, enable encryption using a customer managed key. No, it's completely fine. Now, so click on next. It is going to run the validation. So as you can see, and yeah, so after that, if everything goes fine, you can just click over here, and in some time it is going to create your data factory. So yeah, it is going to create your data factory. Now you can just try to pin to your dashboard if you want. It's completely fine, so that you will be able to get resources. So pin to a dashboard, create a dashboard name. I am going to create your underscore demo. So this is a dashboard name, and here I am going to pin all the resources which I am going to create for this particular demo. Okay, so pinned to a dashboard, and go to resource. My resource is activated now. My deployment for Azure Data Factory is done. So this is a resource group. This is a deployment detail. You can try to check. So this is my resource, uron hyphen data hyphen factory hyphen demo. I can go to a resources, and this is a page which I will be able to see. So this is one of the resource which I have to create. Okay, this is one of the resource. Now again, go back to home. So here, right? So here I have to create another resources. So one resource is a data factory, which I have already created. Fine. Now the second resource which I have to create, because I have to transfer a data from a data lake to Azure Blob. That's a task, right? That's a task that we have. So I have to create Azure Data Lake, and I have to create a Azure Blob. So unless and until I don't have Azure Data Lake and Azure Blob, how I will be able to transfer a data? Okay, fine. So what I can do is I can try to click on create a resources. I can, or maybe I can search over here. This is a super search, right? So I can try to search anything that I want. So here I can try to search for a storage account. So I can try to search for a storage account, and it is going to show me a storage account. So Azure storage solution for Sentinel, and so many things it is going to showcase. So here storage account, and as you can see a detail. So Azure service wise, right? So use a blob or table, queues, files, and data lake gen 2 for a reliable economical cloud storage. So this storage account is going to give me all of these things. So I can maybe try to select this particular storage account, and then I can configure one so that I will be able to create a data lake and I will be able to create a blob. So click on a storage account, guys, and here, so I can try to click on create, and after clicking on create, so it is giving me again a lot of options, not just one single option, a lot of options. So first of all, you can select pay as you go, or you can select your free account. So if you are running inside a free account, it's completely fine. You will be able to do that as well. So pay as you go. Now resource group. So if you remember, so I have already created a resource group AG Data Factory Euron demo. So I can try to select the same resource group. Now storage account name. So what I can do is, so AG hyphen, I can try to give AG data storage hyphen Euron. So this is a name. This field contain only a lowercase letter and numbers. Name must be between 3 to 24 characters. So I can't place hyphen over here. So AG storage Euron I'm going to create. Okay, so AG storage Euron I'm going to create. Now here, so reason wise, so I have selected already Central India, right? Central India. So in the previous one, so when I was trying to create a Azure Data Factory. So here, let's try to search. So if I'm able to get something, Central India. So yeah, so here I'm able to get Central India. So I'm going to select a region is equal to Central India. Now primary services. So what kind of a primary services for which I would like to configure this one. So I would like to configure these things for Azure Blob Storage or for Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So basically, inside this storage account, you will be able to create a blobs and you will be able to create a data lake, both. And I'm going to show you in some time. So here, standard, not a premium one. I don't want a premium one, so that's fine. Now redundancy. So maybe I can try to select for the local redundant storage, as we are just trying to like perform a demo, right? So lowest cost option with the basic protection against a server racks and drive failures recommended for a non-critical scenario. So as of now, we are just trying to practice something over Azure, and we are just trying to look at the demo. So we don't want to go ahead with the geo redundant and with anything which is going to cost us much. So I'll try to select locally redundant storage, LRS. Okay. Now come to the next part. So here, what you can do, so request secure transfer for a REST API operation. Fine, it's already checked in. Allow enabling anonymous access on individual containers. So I'll just try to go ahead with the normal by default configuration. Now here you have to focus. So hierarchical namespace, I can try to check this one. So what it says, hierarchical namespace complemented by data lake storage gen 2 endpoint, enable files and directory semantics, accelerate big data analytical workload, and enable access control list, ACLs, basically. Okay, so this is required because we are going to create a data lake. So this particular things you have to check, and then you can move ahead. So move to the next inside a networking. So this is a by default enable public access from all the network. That's completely fine. Now go to the next, and again, so just uncheck enable soft deletion for a blob, uncheck it. I don't want soft deletion for a blob container or file shared. So uncheck, and then click next, then click next, then click next. It will go for a review, for a validation, and then my storage will be created after clicking on create. So here it is trying to create my storage basically. So it is going to take some time, and once my storage will be created, maybe I can try to look into a blob and a data lake separately. I can try to look into it. And most of the time, like I said, so people gets confused with blob storage and a data lake, because both you can try to perform inside a single service called as a data storage or a storage like a Azure storage account. So it is going to take some time. Okay, so go to a resource. This is ready. Maybe I can try to pin to my dashboard, you run demo. Okay, So pin it. So these are the two resources which I have created, and I have already pinned these resources to my dashboard so that I will be able to access it in the easiest possible way. Otherwise, it's not an issue. So go to a resource. Now, once you will come to this particular page, you will be able to see so many different kind of options, and you will be able to see a lot of things in this particular place. So this is my storage resource name, AG Data Storage Euron. Okay, so this was my storage account name which I have created. Now here there is something called as storage browser. So you will be able to find out this is something called as storage browser, and this is something called as data storage. Now inside this storage browser, it is giving you to create a blob. So where you can try to store a data in a form of objects or maybe a flat file, any kind of a data, image, videos, unstructured data, you can try to store it. And now here, so you can come and then you can try to create a data lake gen 2. So this is possible. You can try to create data lake gen 2 over here. Again, so both services is going to complement each other basically, and you can try to access from anywhere, from any programming language, whether it's a blob or whether it's a container. But like we have already discussed, and when we are talking about the theory, so I have already shown you in my summary that whenever you have to do a heavy analytical processing, so whenever you have a huge amount of a data, in that case, it's always recommended to go ahead with the data lake, not with the blob. And whenever you have a flat file, a simple object, so in that case, go ahead with the blob storage. Fine. So from a storage browser. So one by one, let's go over there. And again, whatever like a container you are going to create inside this particular data storage and over here, storage browser, both will be visible in each and every places. I'll show you that part. So first go to a storage browser, click over here, right? Go to the storage browser, and then there is something called as blob container. So this option, as you can see, yeah, the third option. So blob container, as you can see over here, right? So this is basically a blob container. Now click over here. Now by default, the entire space is empty. So I can try to click on add container, and maybe I can try to name it as a Euron hyphen demo hyphen Euron demo blob demo and then blob. Okay, so Euron demo blob storage. Okay, not S, not capital. I have just a habit of typing every first letter as capital. So Euron demo blob storage. So this is a name I'm going to create. This is the container which I'm going to create. Okay, and this is the place where I have to transfer the data. So this is my destination, so where I can try to transfer a data. So it is going to take in general a couple of seconds of time, and it is going to create it. And as you can see, there is nothing inside this Euron demo blob storage. I have not uploaded any file in this particular place. So basically, as we have already discussed, and let me remind you once again, so what a kind of a task we are trying to perform. So we are supposed to transfer a data from Azure Data Lake service to a Azure Blob service, let's suppose, right? So Azure Blob service. So from Data Lake service, we have to transfer our data to Azure Blob services with the help of what? So with the help of basically Azure Data Factory, the service which we have already created. So we have to use Azure Data Factory, and with the help of this, I have to create a pipeline. So whenever there will be a data over here, whenever, right? Whenever this will receive a data, it should transfer a data automatically in this particular place. If I have to do some sort of a operations on top of the data, maybe some sort of a transformation, maybe some sort of a filtration, you can try to attach each and everything. Whatever you want, you will be able to attach it. But yeah, the objective of this particular demo is to show you that how I can create a pipeline inside Azure Data Factory to transfer a data from Azure Data Lake services to Azure Blob Storage. Okay, fine. So this is the whole idea. This is the whole objective that we have as of now. So what I will do is I will just try to like create a container. So basically a data lake. Now click on this container, and by default, guys, this is the Euron Blob Storage, right? That I have created with the help of this storage browser. This is something which I have created, right? So Blob container, this is something which I have created with the help of Blob Storage, and that is available even over here, because underline this. So whatever you are going to create, it's whether it's a data lake or whether it's a container that you are going to create with the inside a data storage, or you are going to create anything inside this blob container, both are going to complement each other. And the baseline is, so both it is trying to create on top of Azure storage. Simple. And this is the place where most of us gets confused, that you're talking about a data lake, you're talking about blob storage, but I'm not able to see any kind of a differences, because there is a storage account, and inside that I'm able to do the same thing, and not just the same thing. So even both are visible inside each other, right? Both are visible inside each other, because at the end of the day, you are storing the data, maybe inside a directory, or maybe just a data dump you are trying to give inside some sort of a folder or something, like maybe folder inside the folder that you are trying to create. But inside Azure system, it is trying to store everything on your storage account. And whether it's a blob or whether it's a data lake, everything will be like go on the same place. But yeah, the way you are going to access it, it is going to be a bit different. So here, again, not very much. So here I can click on this container, and then I can click on this container. I can try to create over here data lake or Euron demo data lake. Okay, so this is the name I'm going to give, and yeah, so it is going to create a data lake. So fine, it is going to create a data lake and container properties. If you would like to check, so yes, you will be able to see a data lake URL over here, last modified, each and everything. So whatever property, access control and all those things we can try to discuss in a later stage. As of now, you will be able to access. I'm going to show you that part. Now, container properties. So again, there is no such differences. You all will be able to observe as such, right? Now, this is a demo data lake I have created, and let's go back to the storage browser. So even over here, you will be able to see a demo data lake. So in both the places, you will be able to see each and everything. Same thing, exact same thing. You will be able to see, and you will be able to access. Now, what is my task? I have a task to do one thing, that whenever there is a data inside a data lake, right? So whenever there is a data inside a data lake, so maybe I have to push that data inside a blob storage. So that is a task that we have. So whenever we have a data inside a data lake, we have to push that data inside a data blob, basically. So whenever we have a data over here inside my data lake, so I have to push that data inside a blob storage that we are trying to create. Okay, let's try to like perform this particular task. Let's see how we can do that. So here, whenever we have a data, and if I have to push that data inside a blob storage, we have to use a certain services. Maybe I can try to write a code inside a Spark, and then I can do it. That's possible. Maybe I can try to write a simple Python configuration. That even in that way it's possible. Or we can try to use a pipeline. We can try to create a pipeline inside Azure Data Factory, and even in that way it is going to be possible. So we are going to create a pipeline, and again, it's kind of a drag and drop or configuration things, and then everything will be done, and you can try to publish that pipeline. It will keep on working. It will keep on working. So okay. So what I'm going to do is, so first of all, I can try to upload one data inside my data lake, or multiple data if I want, I can try to upload it, but I'll try to upload one data. So this is the data that we have. So student depression data set. So this is a data set from India, and here, so you will be, so this is basically a research which has been conducted by some organization, and this is a public data set. Now here, so there is a student ID, then gender, male and female, age group we have over here, and we have a city, profession, academic pressure, work pressure, CGPA, study satisfaction, job satisfaction, sleep duration, dietary habit, degree, working hour or study hour, financial stress, and then family history of mental illness. And then we have a final column, whether a student is having a depression or whether a student is not having a depression, right? And it's a huge amount of a data set that we have, which is available in a CSV file, CSV format. So now I have to transfer this particular data inside a data lake first, and then from data lake I have to transfer the data into a blob. So fine, let's get started. So I'll just go to home, right? I just go to home, and I have already created a Azure Data Factory, right? I've already created a Azure Data Factory. So now let's go to Azure Data Factory, and you're on Data Factory demo. This is something which I have already created. So here, just try to click and then launch the studio. Launch the studio. Okay. So Azure Data Factory Studio is launched, and this is how this Azure Data Factory Studio looks like. Now, this is majorly been used by all the major companies, you can say, who is working into a data engineering field, and almost every data engineer nowadays uses Data Factory to create any kind of a pipeline for a ETL operation, for any kind of a transformation, for any kind of a filtration, for everything, you can say. So people are using Data Factory nowadays. So we are going to use it, and we are going to see how we can try to use it. So here, let me give you just a little bit of demo. So there is a home tab. So this is how it looks like, where you can try to click, and then you can try to create a pipeline. You can try to create a data flow. You can try to create a Power Query. You can even try to create a data set over here. So these are the options that you have. Now here on your left hand side menu, so there is a author tab. Now inside author tab, there is a pipeline, change data, data set, data flow, Power Query. So same option that we have seen inside a new. So almost same option you will be able to see even over here. Monitor. So obviously when you are going to create a pipeline, when you are going to deploy the pipeline, you will have to monitor it. So if there is some error, you have to debug it. So all the pipeline, whichever pipeline is running as of now, so you will be able to see, you will be able to see the entire process, and if there is some error, you will be able to resolve it. Now manage. So here we can try to manage all the linkage or maybe a configuration related things we can try to manage inside a manage directory. Learning center, just for your learning and tutorials. So if you would like to explore some of the learning resources from Microsoft, you can try to go ahead and then try to explore those things, which is not required. I'm already teaching you. Don't worry about it. So my Azure Data Factory. So yes, I'm able to launch it. Now inside this Azure Data Factory, I'm going to show you the entire process. Process means, so here we have basically Azure Data Storage Euron. So we have basically a storage account. Now inside a storage account, inside this data lake, let's suppose I'm going to upload a file. So let's upload some files. So here data set directory and student depression data set. So this is something which I'm going to upload. So here I have uploaded this particular file. Now you can even come over here and then check this out, this particular data set. So this is my data set version. You can try to check. There is no previous version. File size 2.81 exceed the maximum support file size of 2.1 MB. Okay, generate SAS nothing but it's basically a token that you can try to generate. So this is a data set that we already have over here. That's completely fine. And if I have to download this data set, I can download it directly over here, but we don't want to download as of now. So this is a data set that we already have. Okay. Now, where we have this data set? So we have this data set inside by container. So inside basically a Euron demo data lake. So inside my data lake, I have some data. I can try to put up as much data as possible inside a data lake. Now I have to create a pipeline by which I can try to transfer this data, means data which is available over here, inside this blob storage. So as of now, blob storage is completely blank. There is nothing inside my blob storage. So one by one, let's try to perform this operation inside this data factory. And this is going to give you a complete overview. right? It is going to give you a complete overview about everything. And if you're not comfortable with a data factory, believe me, after performing this operation, this very simple operation, you will be, right? You will be very, very comfortable. You will feel, and going forward, you will be able to do whatever project I'm going to teach you. Okay. So the very first part is we have to create a linkage services, link services basically. So we can come to manage and then we can try to create a link services. So now link services means I'm going to use a blob. So blob should be linked as a blob. And I'm going to use basically a data lake. So data lake should be linked as a data lake. So I can click on new and here, so I have to give a linkage for a data lake and a blob, lake and blob, right? Okay. So here maybe I can try to search for a lake. So Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. I'm just trying to create a linkage with the services so that my data factory will be able to understand it. So here continue, just try to search for the lake and then continue. Okay. Now I have to configure it. So Azure Data Lake Storage 1. Fine. So maybe I can try to keep it as a default name, or maybe I can try to change that particular name. Nothing. So maybe I can try to like Azure Data Lake link. Okay. So this is the name I'm going to give, Azure Data link. Now authentication type. So we have multiple authentication type, but as of now we can try to go ahead with the account key, which is a default one. Azure subscription, pay as you go. If you are using a free, you will be able to see a free over here with the ID. Now storage account name. So which storage account? So storage account means this is my storage, right? This is my storage. So Azure data. So here I'm storing the data in this directory, in these two containers. So Azure Data Storage Euron, right? AG Data Storage Euron. So AG Data Storage Euron. So I can try to select this one, which I have already created. Okay. So a data storage Euron. Fine. I can try to create it. Now I can try to test the connection. So let me remove myself a little bit from this side to this side. Now I can try to click on test connection. So if connection test will be successful, then I can try to click on create. Fine. I can try to click on create storage account name. So I have created, and then this is the data lake storage Gen 2 I'm trying to create. So fine, this is one of the linkage which I have already created and everything is fine. Now the second linkage which I have to create is for basically a blob storage. So let's try to search for blob blob. Azure Blob Storage. This is one of the service which is available over here. Now click on continue. So blob, I can try to give a name as a link. So blob link I'm trying to create. Now rest of the things is simply like a same. Now subscription I can select, and then account. So account I'm going to select as a storage account. So with which storage account I'm trying to link. There is a possibility that I have a data lake in other account and then I have a blob in some different account. That is also possible. I can try to migrate a data. I can try to transfer the data. But yeah, as of now, I'm trying to show you both blob and a storage, data lake storage in the same data storage account. Fine. Now I can try to click on test connection, and then I can try to click on create, and blob link and the data lake link is been created. Fine. So type is Azure Blob Storage, type is Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So these are the two linkage I'm able to create inside a managed link. Now, what I can do is, so I can go to basically a pencil tab, this author tab, right? This author tab that we have. And linkage we are able to create. Let's suppose linkage we are able to create, but we have to configure a data set. So what kind of a data we have inside Azure Data Lake, and what kind of a data we have inside a blob. So how we are trying to migrate a data, what kind of operations that we would like to perform on top of the data. So many more things I will be able to do it over here. So new data set I can try to create, and then here lake I can try to select. So Azure Data Lake Gen 2, because one set of the data we have inside the data lake storage. So fine. So I'm just trying to label it, and then choose the format type of your data. So what kind of a data we have inside this particular data lake. So we have basically a CSV kind of a data, right? So if you have any other kind of a data, you can just try to go ahead and select for that one. But yeah, I have basically a CSV kind of a data. So fine, I'll click on continue, a name. So basically I can try to give data set. So basically a data set over here, and basically it's a lake, data set lake. And then service wise, so Azure Data Lake link I can try to use. So if you remember, I have already created a linkage. So service wise, so linked service wise, Azure Data Lake, linked services I can try to create. Now here, so I can browse the file path or directory, because inside this particular data set that we are trying to configure, so that data set must be having some places where we are holding it. So here we can try to click on browse, you run demo data lake, and this is a file. So this is a directory and this is the file that we have. I can click on OK. So here automatically it is going to give file path, and it is going to give a file name that, okay, on this particular file path, you have this particular file. Now import schema. So if I have to import the schema, which is nothing but a column header, so I can try to from a connection store, or maybe I can try to create it from a sample file, or maybe I can try to leave it if I don't want to import the schema separately. But yeah, so from connection store, I can try to keep that particular option. So now file path, it will be able to take, and it will be able to understand that I'm trying to take a data from a data lake, and this is the name. Now click on OK. So this is a data set which I'm able to create. This is the data set which I'm able to create. A very first data set, right? A very first data set I'm able to create from a lake. Now here, so you have a lot of properties you will be able to see for this particular connection. So you have a lot of properties. So here I can even click on test connection. So connection successful, fine. So it is able to find the file and all those things it is able to perform. Now link services. So basically Azure Data Lake link services has been linked to this one. If I have to change somewhere in a later stage, I can do it, but that's completely fine. If I have to preview the data, so maybe I can try to click and preview the data. So ID, gender, age, city, all those things we are able to see over here. So yes, this data set configuration is completely fine. I'm able to see the data. Now compression type. So let's suppose if I'm keeping that data, right? If I'm keeping that data inside a GIF file, maybe I can try to give a GIF file. That's completely fine. But if I'm not keeping, if I just have a flat file, means unzipped file if I have, so in that case, I can just try to select for no compression. Now data inside this file is separated by what? A comma. If data is separated by semicolon, I can give it that. If data is separated by pipe or maybe tab, or maybe there is no delimiter, I can select whatever option that I want. Row delimiter, if data is having some sort of a encoding apart from UTF, which is a default one. Now double quotes. So all of these things are basically a configurable one, right? It's a configurable one, and I can select as per the need that I have. Most of the things it will be able to do it by default. Now schema. So schema wise, this is the schema. It is able to import automatically because I have selected in the beginning itself that, okay, go ahead and try to select the schema. Parameters. So I don't want to configure any parameter as of now. So what I can do is, if everything looks fine, I can click on publish. So once I'm going to publish it, it will be available now. This data set will be available now for me. Now I have to create another data set. So because I have to transfer the data, right, from one places to another places. So I have to create another data set over here. Now new data set, and then this time, so I'm going to use basically blob, because this is for a lake, and then blob. So here blob, so I have to transfer the data, right, from lake to a blob. So here data set blob, blob. Then link services. So maybe I can try to use a blob link, and then I have to give a file path. So I can again browse, and this is the directory which I have already created. If you remember here, right, these two directory. So I'm browsing inside this one. So from the link services. Now here, so blob storage, I don't have anything inside this file. Click on OK. So file path is this. If I would like to create a directory and then dump a data, again, I can even write it down. And file name wise, I can try to give final data in blob dot CSV, or even I can write Excel. That's completely fine. Yeah, even I can write Excel over here. That's completely fine. Or maybe I can try to write a simple TXT as of now. I would like to show you something different. So I'm reading from a CSV and dumping it into a TXT file. So I can show you that part. So, okay. So I can try to click on OK, schema import fail, none. So I don't have to like give any kind of a schema. First row as a header, just uncheck it. Okay, click over here. Now maybe I can try to click on a test connection, and connection successful for this particular blob. I don't have any data, guys. I don't have any data as of now. I have to transfer the data, right? I don't have any kind of a data over here. So fine. So this two data set, a blob and a data lake. So these two data set has been created now. Now what I can do is, so I can try to use inside a pipeline. I can try to use inside the pipeline because linkage is created with the service and we have a data set now. I can try to click on pipeline. So I can try to click new pipeline. So pipeline is again a feature or functionality which is going to help you out to do a lot. Expand it and you will be able to see a lot of things over here. Copying data. This is something that we are going to use. Configuring data flow, notebook if you have to configure that, Azure functions, notebook from a Databricks, jar file or Python, data lake analytics. So it is going to support you for a lot of things. A lot of things means literally a lot of things, right? So as of now, we have to copy the data from one places to another places. That is something that we have to do, right? The place number one is from where we have to copy the data is basically a lake. And then place number two, where we have to like paste the data or dump the data. So that is basically a blob. Fine. So we have these two directories. So I have to take a data from here, then paste it over here, then take a data from here, then paste it over here. So I have to keep on doing this particular procedure. Okay, so now what I can do is copy data. So I have just dragged and dropped over here, right? And a lot of options you are able to see, so don't get confused. I will go ahead with one by one. Okay, now I can try to give a name, demo lake to blob data transfer. Okay, so demo lake to blob data transfer. This is something which I have given as a name. You can just give any name that you want. It's completely fine, right? Now description, if you want to give some sort of a write-ups for understanding purposes, that's completely fine. So here is a pipeline name. So lake to blob. This is the pipeline name which I'm going to give. So it's completely fine. Lake to blob. Now here, so activity status. So here activated. As of now, I have to activate it because I have to show you that operation. Now timeout. So as of now, it's given as a 12 hour of timeout. If it will like try. So retry, how many times it is supposed to retry interval. So let's suppose there is no data set and it is trying to like look into that to transfer the data. So how frequently it is supposed to try, how many times it is supposed to try. So each and everything you can try to configure as per your need. And in a real time in a production environment, yes, we do that. Now here there is something called as source. Now source means from where we have to copy the data. So where we have to copy the data, guys, by the way, ADLS, Azure Data Lake services, we have already created a linkage and data set, right? And what is going to be my sink? What is going to be my destination? So it's a Azure blob. So ABS completely fine. So here source I can select. So data set source is what? Data set blob I have already created, right? So this is, I can even click on preview data. So sorry, why it is failing. Data set blobs. No, there is no data inside the blob, right? Data lake. So preview data. So yeah, I will be able to see some data. There is a data. Fine. Okay. So here, file path type. So file path in data set, I have already given, right? And then filtered by a last modified. So if you would like to like filter these things recursively, if you have to perform these operations, but yeah, I think this is just a only configuration which you have to do for now, as if you're learning for the very first time. Rest you can try to leave it as it is. Then sync, where we have to paste the data. So blob basically, right? Inside blob we have to paste the data. So copy behavior. So what kind of a copy or what kind of a a transfer you are looking for? So flatten hierarchy or merge the file, preserve hierarchy, add dynamic content. So maybe I can try to like maintain this flatten hierarchy as of now, right? Flatten hierarchy and maximum concurrent connection. I can just try to leave it as a default. You can try to give even a block size, that what should be the file size which it is supposed to transfer, so that automatically it will be able to filter out. And file extension, so if you remember, I have already given .txt, right? So now I was trying to create this particular data for a blob. That okay, copy all the data, but yeah, so try to convert it into a txt and then dump the data. Okay, mapping. So if you would like to import a schema, and if you would like to do a mapping between source and a destination, so you can try to do it. So there is a ID will be called as column1. If you would like to change, you can try to change it, right? You have option, otherwise it will be called as column 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and so on, right? So simple. So ID will be called as this, and then like a column on a destination side. If you would like to do a mapping, you can do a mapping, but as of now I'm just leaving it as it is. I'm not doing any kind of a manual mapping. I just have to showcase you how to transfer the data. So once I'm going to transfer the data, then it's fine. Okay, so user property, you can leave it. So this is a pipeline that we are able to create. Fine. Okay, now I'll show you the quick run for this one. So quick run wise, we can try to click on basically, let me publish. Okay, without even publishing, so you can try to come over here and then you can try to click on debug. So debug means, so basically in a debugging mode, so you will be able to see, you will be able to check that whether the pipeline which I have created is working fine or not. So here I can try to click on debug and let's see the magic. If everything goes fine, it will copy a data from source to sink, means from here to here, from here to here, it will try to copy the data. Yeah, there are a lot of things you can do, guys, in between, and hope all of you are following it. Hope all of you are following it. And even I have a class, so in a big data, so if you'll go to uron.1, you will be able to check. So I'm taking a live classes on a big data, and over there I'm teaching each and everything, not just one single thing, but yeah, I'm teaching each and everything. So you can just come over here, you can try to check out. I have already started this class and I have just taken 2 simple classes over here. Next class is going to happen on 11th. So you can come over here and then you can try to check out. Okay, so finally it succeeded. Yep, it succeeded in 13 seconds, and let's see what it has done. So if I'll go and click on details, you will be able to see the actual magic that we were looking for, right? Let me delete this one, and yeah, so let me show you that. So here I had a data into a data lake storage Gen 2, region Central India. It is able to transfer the data into a blob storage, region Central India. Yeah. Now data read was this MB, data written this MB. So why there is a difference? Because there is a different file type. So here we are reading .csv and here we have .txt file. So file extension is different. File read, there was only one file. So one file like written, rows read. So yes, one file, rows. So basically 27,901, 27,901, peak connection only one. Copy duration was only this much of second, throughput of this kilobyte per second, start time, then like a DIU, then parallel, transferred, now verified. So everything has happened and the magic that we were looking for. So finally this magic has happened, right? Finally this magic has happened and we are able to perform this operation. So hope all of you are able to perform this operation, right? All of you are able to perform this operation. Now I have already published it. So now if I'll go and check blob storage, I have a file, .txt file, right? I have this .txt file over here. And again, I was anyhow able to get a confirmation even from here, right? So from the details, I was able to get the confirmation. So I have this particular file. Now, inside a data lake, so again, I have this particular file. Let's suppose if I'm going to upload more files. I'm going to upload maybe a university or a student lifestyle data set. Let's suppose if I'm going to upload, yeah, or maybe student depression data set, or I'm going to upload again with a different kind of a version. So what will happen basically? So let's suppose if I'm going to click on debug and again I'm going to perform the same operation. So let's see guys, so what it is going to perform. It will take couple of seconds of time, I believe 10-20 seconds max to max. Okay, so again succeeded. Fine, again succeeded. Let's go and check. So again, it is trying to read the data, same data, and it is trying to write the same data. But if you remember and if you have observed, I have placed another data as well, a student lifestyle data set I have placed over here. And it is not going to perform any kind of operation for this data. It is just going to perform an operation for this data set, which was a final data or whatever data which I have configured. Why? What is the reason? So if I'll go to a blob, a data set configuration, sorry, lake, so data set configuration. So I have clearly mentioned that always try to take, right? Always try to take this particular data, right? This particular data. Let's suppose if I'm going to remove this file name, okay? So remove this particular file name. And then if I'm going to test the connection, so yeah, connection successful. Now publish it. So publishing error, okay, close, compression type, nothing, 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 okay. Validation of models failed, fixed before publishing it. Okay, so validation of model, so testing a connection. Directory name is fine, no comparison. File should be with this. Euron Data Lake, that's completely fine. Okay, schema, clear it. Parameter, we don't want. Link service is fine. Schema is something which I'm not looking for. Encoding. Okay, so what I'm trying to show you is that how we will be able to transfer whatever data that we get into a different blobs, basically, right? So that is something which I'm trying to showcase, because whatever whatever data that we have inside this data lake, so we are able to transfer only this student depression data set. We are not able to transfer the other one. Now let's come back to this one. So here again, so it is just trying to override the previous file. So whatever file that we have, now close it up. So let me go ahead with only a previous conversion. So student depression data set. Now test the connection. Okay, testing it, testing successful. Now publish data lake. Okay, so lake to blob, fine. So I have published it. Let me publish. Okay, publish is okay. Now, lake to blob, and yeah, this pipeline is running completely fine. Now, what I want is that whenever there will be some data, so let's suppose there is some new data which is coming into a picture. So, whenever there is a new data which is coming into a picture, so I would like to automatically transfer those data into my lake to a blob. So, that is a kind of a setup which I am looking for. So, how I will be able to do the setup? So there is something called as add triggers. So if you are going to click on this add trigger, so there is a something called as trigger now. So this is basically a manual trigger. So whenever you will come over here, and then manually you have to click, and then it will be triggered. Otherwise, there is an option called as new edit. So here you can try to create a trigger that you want. So trigger means at what interval, or maybe with what condition I would like to trigger this entire pipeline. So I can just try to click on new, and then my trigger, I'm going to give it as a name. Trigger name should start and end with the letter, number or underscore. Yeah, there is a space. Okay, so type. So there are multiple types, but I will be using a schedule as of now. And then start date. So let's suppose if I'm going to give today's date, that today is like a 4th of January 2025. So if I can try to give this particular start date, or maybe I can choose that from which date it is supposed to start triggering the same pipeline. So maybe I can try to choose this one. Time zone I can try to select. Now recurrence. So in every how many minutes you would like to check, you want your pipeline to check this blob storage. Sorry, you have your pipeline should check this data lake and transfer a data into a blob storage. So this is something that you can try to configure. So what it will do is, in every such interval, or let's suppose if I'm going to give 15 minute, 20 minute, or maybe a 2 days, 3 days. So in every interval, the interval which I'm going to configure, so it will try to check, so whatever data that we have inside the data lake, and it will try to transfer inside the blob storage automatically. This is something it is going to perform. So here I can try to select, maybe in every 1 minute try to perform this operation, or maybe in every 30 minutes it can try to perform that operation. So I can try to configure minutes, maybe hours, maybe days, maybe weeks, or maybe a month. So all this flexibility if I have over here. I can even specify the end date, that when it should stop looking for the data. So in this way, you don't have to come and click every time manually, and your pipeline will keep on triggering that particular event automatically in every 30 minutes, right? So maybe I'm going to specify a date over here. So date is going to be 4th today itself, or maybe tomorrow I can try to give that. Okay, stop this one, right? So start trigger on creation. So once I'm going to create the trigger, automatically I want that it should start itself. So okay, fine, I can click on OK. Now make sure to publish for the triggers to activate after clicking OK. So OK, and publish all. So publish it, and then publish it. So automatically in every 30 minute, right? Automatically in every 30 minutes. So it is going to come and check that whether we have a data over here or not. And if we have a data, the data that we are looking for, the CSV file, automatically it will transfer a data into a blob storage. So this is something that it is going to do as a trigger. Simple. So we have already configured the trigger over here, and here you can see, so there is a trigger that we have already configured. You can go and recheck and then again retest it. Now there is something called as manage. So sorry, monitor. There is something called as monitor, and here in this particular place you will be able to monitor each and everything. So pipeline runs. So if pipeline is running automatically, you will be able to monitor that one. Trigger runs. So if trigger is triggering itself. So let me go over here and trigger it now. So trigger pipeline now published, last configuration. Okay, running. So I have just triggered manually because it is going to take 30-minute time. I have already configured for the 30-minute, right? So it is going to trigger. I can come to a monitor and then I can check over here. Maybe I can click on refresh. So if trigger is able to run it, run failed to run a lake. Okay, so I have made some changes, and maybe because of that data lake, and then this was fine. Blob, this is fine. Okay, so it is showing me that it has succeeded. Debug. Let me debug and check so whether everything is working fine or not. This is what you can do all the time. So whenever you are getting some unwanted results, so in that case, configure, debug, and check. It is going to take maybe a failed. Okay, so I can maybe come over here, even inside monitoring, and then I can try to check over here at any point of a time. So yeah, this is what I'm trying to show you, that you can anytime come over here inside a manage pipeline runs, and then you can check. So if something has failed, so why it has failed and what is the error. So operation on target demo lake to blob transfer failed. So this is the error, mapping column name not found. Okay, so mapping of the column name which I have already removed. So because of that, it is failing. So what I can do is I can go back and then I can try to fix it. So data lake, and then here the schema. So import schema from a connectivity store. This is something which I have already removed, right? So import schema, number of column, and maybe I can try to just edit, cancel this one, schema. So yeah, fail to load. Okay, because size of the file was too huge. Import schema. Okay. Everything looks fine to me because there is nothing wrong. Browse, then a lake, and then dataset CSV. Yeah, and it was even working fine. Now test connection. Connection is successful. Schema, import schema. Number of column is equals to 18. It is not giving me the name. Okay, maybe I can go and change something over here itself. So source and data lake, source type, file path, fine. Sync, that's fine. Mapping, I will just clear the mapping. So clear it. I don't want to do that. Okay, because of that it was giving me an issue, so it's fine. I can do it once again by importing a sample file, but yeah. Now click on debug, run it. Queued, and this time hopefully, because I have removed the schema, it should work fine. Okay, so hope all of you are learning, guys, and yes, so yeah, succeeded. See, so this time there is no problem. So maybe I can try to click on publish. I can try to click on publish. So after publishing it, trigger will work automatically, or maybe I can just go ahead and like do a manual trigger. Both of these things is fine. Okay, so trigger now. So triggering it once again. I'll just go to monitor. So here, see, it has failed last time. And even I would like to like show you the trigger. So if trigger is going to do something, so you can see those things, those schedules over here. And if pipeline you have run and pipeline is doing something, so you will be able to see everything over here, right? So pipeline runs, trigger runs. You can even try to debug it if there is an issue. So last time it has succeeded, before that it has failed, and before that twice it has succeeded. So everything you will be able to monitor inside a monitor tab. It's very simple and very good to see, I would say, right? That everything you are able to see in just one single place, you will be able to monitor. So fine, guys, this is all about a project that I had to discuss with all of you, where successfully we are able to transfer a data from a data lake to a blob. Plus, I don't think that we have any kind of a confusion between a data lake and a blob. We all are able to understand that, okay, what is data lake and what is a blob and how it is going to work, how it is going to transfer the data. Plus, we are able to see a very good introduction about Azure Data Factory. So please try to do it. Comment me in a comment box. So what things that you are looking for, maybe in my next video, what kind of a project you are looking for. So I'll try to bring those projects maybe in a free or maybe in a paid mode. Plus we have classes on Euron. So you can go and check those courses. You can check those classes for Big Data Masters, where I'm going to cover not just a simple thing, but a lot of things, right? With a lot of real-time use cases and a project and a scenario, so that you all can join a big data industry and work with that. Thank you so much, everyone. See you again in my next video.